Do you believe that you can heal yourself? Too often we give our power away to something outside of ourselves, and rarely, if ever, trust and tap into our innate healing power and intuition. Everyone has this capability to heal in ways we never thought possible. It's your sovereign right to claim and have true health and lasting wellness. Now, here is the host of the Dr. Dolores Show, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer.
Well, welcome everybody. And as you can see, I'm not in my home office. I'm actually on the road today. I am in beautiful Sedona. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in our wonderful world. And you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show, and I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And, we're talking today about self-forgiveness, embrace, evolve, and empower. And a lot of times when I start creating my topics for my episode, it's months or weeks before the actual episode. And I really don't know sometimes what exactly I'm going to talk about. And you know what? Spirit always delivers the right information to me. So this is an interesting, I want to say, woven tapestry of things that kind of have occurred in my life this last week to this moment now. So let's just talk about self-forgiveness. And I'm just going to read from the show notes that are on the episode. Self-forgiveness, embrace, evolve, empower is a captivating exploration of the transformative journey towards self-compassion and growth. Delve into the intricate art of forgiving oneself as we unravel the profound impact it has on personal development and mental well-being. Through engaging discussions and thought-provoking insights, this show invites the audience to lean into the power of self-forgiveness and embrace their imperfections with grace, and maybe even inspire people to look at that aspect and work with that a little deeper. Join us on a compelling voyage of self-discovery where self-forgiveness takes center stage, guiding participants towards profound understanding of resilience and inner strength. Through inspiring narratives and practical strategies, learn to release guilt, shame, and paving the way for profound transformation and empowerment. So, like I was saying, it's been an interesting journey, this trip to Sedona. One of my sisters joined me on this trip, and it's been an interesting journey because for me, it kind of brought up a lot of our childhood stuff and our dynamics because, even though we grew up together, probably the first 18, 20 years-ish of our lives, we're both older women in our 60s. So there's been a lot of life lived in those 40 years since our childhood. Yet it's like some of the same things that were kind of coming up were feeding the experience from more of an unconscious level. And I really want to emphasize unconscious because oftentimes things occur in our lives because of the unconscious flow that is occurring. It's like we aren't aware of it because it's unconscious. So on this trip, I'm pleased to say that it allowed me to look at the unconscious drama and widen back and look at the bigger picture of why that was so and what my role in that was as well too, so that I could shift that in my life. Okay. So I'm more of a quiet type of person. I'm very reflective. I love silence. My sister, not so much. She likes to hum, she likes to sing, she likes to always it's like she's got to say something all the time, and silence for her is a foreign concept. And so you could see how, two different ends of the spectrum. One person who loves silence and one person who can't be silent at all. And how do we bridge that gap to get in the middle? So for me, she also created a cold for herself. In fact, we had to get her antibiotics and medication because it was really starting to manifest into something really, really yicky and whatever. And I knew she needed to fly back, and I wanted to make sure that she had that nipped in the bud before she got on the plane, because anybody who's flown being having a head cold, you know what kind of fun that is. It's not. So she was getting better, but I just noticed as the week went on, I was starting to get taking on her stuff. And I'm like, okay, now wait a minute, this is really interesting. So we took her to she caught a flight last night and left Arizona and now is back on the East Coast where she lives. And I just went to bed last night and I slept like a baby. I had been doing self nurturing type stuff and taking care of my runny nose, which was allergies, and so it wouldn't blossom into something further. And I slept very deeply. And this morning when I woke up, it was interesting because the weather patterns had been really kind of chaotic the last week. In fact, in Sedona, when we arrived Saturday and we were there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it was like cloudy, it was overcast, it wouldn't be raining. And then this morning, the sky is blue, not a cloud in the sky. And so I took my journal and I sat outside on the porch and I just wanted some insight into what was going on. And boy, did I get an epiphany. For me, it was really about seeing how I contributed to this, which is interesting because we all contribute to situations. Somebody doesn't do something to you, you are an active participant on a deeper level. And for me, it was an unconscious level that has been running my life for a very long time. My MO growing up and my thing was like trying to fix people and lowering myself so they're more comfortable in my surroundings, but neglecting myself. So I was really not setting energetic boundaries with her, and I was taking on her stuff and really feeling the aftermath of that. So this is where my favorite tool comes in. It's like, this is not my stuff, it needs to remove itself immediately from my energy field in the name of Lord Jesus Christ, or get this shit out of my space now. That's another way that I say it, because it's not. And when we're able to look at things from a bigger perspective, it's like it allows you to say, oh, okay, I get it. I see where I contributed to this. And you know what? This has been a lifelong thing. I'm turning 65 next week. And, I've had a relationship with my sister for the last 63 years because she's 2 years younger. So this has been running the show for a very long time. And so with her, I really, send her so much love and compassion and appreciation for showing me this gift that I was able to receive for myself and just have some, I was like forgiving myself too for allowing me to go down this rabbit hole without, punishing myself, feeling guilty or, feeling, resentful. It's about, okay, here is a situation that in my book, it's like it's been running the show in this lifetime almost the whole entire lifetime. And now here we have the opportunity to heal that. And what beautiful thing could possibly come out of that? Okay. So everybody is on their paths doing what they need to do, even those of us who share the information, because life's a journey. We're constantly learning and growing. And if you don't do that, you're fooling yourself thinking that you know it all, because that's not the truth. And the universe will present something to you that will really, ruffle your feathers a bit to get your attention. So, with that in mind, is just like look at where in your life have there been like maybe those unconscious patterns that have been running the show ad nauseum, And you get to the point where it's just like, I'm so over this. You really hit your wall. And it's just like, you know what? Now it's time to sit with it, feel it, experience it. Don't try to fix it. Just be with it in the moment that you're in right now. If you need to go take a nap, go to process. Some of us are processors in our sleep. Sometimes we have to sleep 8, 10, 12 hours, but when we wake up, we have the insight or the answers to things. Talk to your higher self in your spirit guides. Just say, hey, look, I need some help here on this. I'm not really sure what's going on. And just ask, show me my next step. It's not about why, what, where, when, or how. I call it the W's and the H's. I'm going to invite you to put that on a shelf. Just ask your higher self, show me my next step, and they will not disappoint you. And just follow that next step. Like I just got up and I just knew that I had to sit outside, drink my coffee, and write. And I haven't felt that way in days. And I followed that. And I'm so grateful and appreciative that I listened to myself because I got a world of insight into that particular situation. So forgiveness work and even self-growth in general is not for the weak of heart. You have to be, I'm not going to say ready for it, but you have to be open to move in that direction. Because so many of us, don't want to dip our toe into that because we feel that Pandora's box, the box of the unknown, the lid's going to flip open and you're not going to have any idea how to sit on that lid and shut it. I'm going to tell you this. There's a lot of grace right now with things. And the illusion is that we will never shut the lid of that box. What is really happening is when we open that lid and we're able to take a step into that box and look at the gold that's there, you're able to transform, transmute, and transcend anything that you're experiencing that you do not want to experience. And to me, that is the gift of grace. So we've listened to Dolores's story of her trip to Sedona. And like I was saying, you just never know what is coming down the pike. And, for me, it's about trusting and knowing that whatever's happening is happening for me, not against me, and learning to just trust. And when you forget about that, go back to trust. And when you feel like you're going down the rabbit hole and you feel like you're getting out of control, go back to trust. It's about trusting and allowing yourself to experience everything that you possibly can experience. Because remember, we're all here on Earth getting our PhDs and being human. And it's not about, oh, I'm just a human. It's about, I'm a human and let me show you what I'm all about. So when we come back from our break, those of us who just joined us, I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, and you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show, where we're talking about self-forgiveness, embrace, evolve, and empower. And we're going to talk more about important steps to get you to embrace and evolve and empower your life so that self-forgiveness will be more of a grace type of opportunity for you than a chore. So stay tuned and we'll be back shortly.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we're on the Inspired Choices Network. So we've been talking about self-forgiveness, embrace, evolve, empower. And I shared with you in the first segment a story that just was fresh off the press. Basically, it happened yesterday or the last several days, because as you could see, I'm not in my office. I'm actually on the road. I'm in Sedona for the next several days and had been here for the last several days. Well, anyway, we're talking about, forgiving yourself. And I think for so many people, that's a hard pill to swallow, because we're so hard on ourselves. We hold ourselves up to such a high bar that when we aren't perfect, we beat ourselves up, and forgiving ourselves is one of the hardest things that we could do, because it's not allowing ourselves the grace. It's like somehow we're on this perpetual moving treadmill that we have to be beating ourselves up, and we aren't worthy of being forgiven, especially forgiving ourselves. And it's time to change that. Self-forgiveness is such a huge thing. And sometimes it's easier to forgive somebody else than it is to forgive ourselves. And I don't know why that is so, but maybe we can look at this a little deeper. So, when self-forgiveness is a crucial aspect of personal growth and emotional healing. I'm going to talk about 5 different steps that I think that are really essential. I think the most important thing to start with is embrace your emotions. We have been duped into believing in our society that feeling and experiencing your emotions is a bad no-no, and you need to not feel and pretend everything's fine. And basically, when you don't feel, it's like an excuse not to be in your body. Did you know that? Because in order to experience your emotions, you need to be in your physical body. A lot of times when we dip our toe into the pond of emotion, we retract and go, and we go back into our head, and we're trying to play whack-a-mole and trying to figure out how we could make it go away and not feel all the discomfort that it is. It's like it's a control type of thing. You maybe partially experience it, but you don't want to go down what we perceive as the rabbit hole, when in essence it isn't the rabbit hole. You will get through that. The good news is that once you take a step into that emotion of what you're feeling, you gain a lot of wisdom and are allowing yourself to gain a different perspective of possibly why you're feeling what you're feeling. You're getting those gold nuggets. So allow yourself to acknowledge and accept the emotions you're experiencing, whether it's guilt, shame, anger, and or sadness. Avoid suppressing or denying these feelings, as they are natural reactions to whatever transgression or mistake you're grappling with. Embracing your emotions means giving yourself permission to feel without judgment. And I think that is the piece that I want to drive home here. Feeling without judgment. If we're judging ourselves, Do you think you're also judging other people, or do you do that in your life as well? It's something to think about because you probably are judging and criticizing. We judge and criticize ourselves, so we project it out sometimes in judging and criticizing other people. I think that needs to be healed up and stopped. What do you think? I'm game. I'm working on that. I invite you to work on it too. And another thing about when people don't experience their emotions and they pop into their head, one clue is that when a person's in their head is like, I think I feel. There's no such thing as I think I feel. You either, when you think you feel, you're intellectualizing your emotions. So just be aware of that. If you're feeling that you're thinking you're sad, or you're thinking you're being shamed, it's a feeling. I invite you to go from here, take a deep breath and drop your energy to here. When you're in your heart space, you're actually in your body. When you're in your body, you could feel your emotions. So please, please, please do what you can to stay in your heart and in your body. The next one is reflect and evolve. Take time to reflect on the situation that led you to the need for self-forgiveness. And like for me, like I was sharing, is just like how I had the tendency to rescue people on an unconscious level. And here I was trying to rescue my sister on an unconscious level. And it's just like now I got to really see it from a bigger perspective. Okay. And now it was easier for me to forgive myself for that because, okay, yeah, I see I'd do that. I forgive myself from that. And now it was moving from unconsciousness to consciousness so that I could make a different choice. When it's unconscious and you aren't aware of it, it's like two ships passing in the night. When it becomes unconscious and moving to consciousness, this is where you have choice and you can make a different choice and move forward. Explore the reasons behind your actions, the impact they had, and what you learned from the experience. Use this reflection as an opportunity for personal growth and evolution. Identify areas where you can improve and commit to making positive changes with your behavior. And so you know how you need to move forward. You can make a different choice, just like I had just shared with you. The next part, number 3, is practice self-compassion. And what I mean by that, we are very good at treating other people better than we treat ourselves sometimes. And sometimes we could, you know that in because of the things that you say to yourself in the silence of your mind, or even when you say out loud to yourself when nobody else is around, like you're beating yourself up. Please, 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 that has to stop. You do not want to be labeling this beautiful container, your physical body that is over 70% water, with a label of you're not good enough, because guess what happens? You label that container, the vibration of that word, and yes, words do have vibrations, that gets imposed onto our physical body, and it starts changing our physical chemistry in our body, because remember, we're at least 70% water. Something to think about. Okay. Recognize that everyone makes mistakes and you are deserving of forgiveness just like anyone else. Cultivate self-compassion by practicing positive self-talk, nurturing yourself, and engaging in activities that bring you joy and comfort. So it's about self-care. It's about removing yourself from situations that are uncomfortable. It's not like you're escaping, you're doing self-care. Self-care is removing yourself from situations that are not safe, where you feel uncomfortable, where you feel as if your energy is being sapped. It's about creating an energetic boundary. And remember what I said at the beginning. A test is that if you're having problems with your boundaries and you're a very empathic, highly sensitive person, or intuitive, sometimes that's a real nebulous place for us to play, because we don't have very definitive boundaries as to where you end and something else begins, and it gets enmeshed like this. So if you're feeling like you're taking on other people's things, or you're just feeling like you're feeling all these emotions, I call it 50 shades of emotions when you're around somebody, or you're feeling like you're getting really angry or something, first of all, just tell the universe, to yourself in silence, if this is not my stuff, remove it from my space immediately. Because number one, we're sovereign beings. Nothing could come into our energy field unless we allow it. Now, the trippy part is that, and what I addressed earlier, is that on an unconscious level, we're still allowing it in because it's happening. So it's about saying, if this is on a, unconscious or whatever, it needs to be removed from my energy field immediately if it's not my stuff. Okay. So cultivate self-compassion by practicing, like I said, positive self-talk, nurturing yourself, and engaging in activities that bring you joy and comfort. Do things that feel good. If it doesn't feel good, or if it's a hell yes, it's a hell no. So give yourself the grace without feeling the guilt, shame, or whatever. This is about you embracing what is correct for you, not anybody else or how it's playing out with else. Release resentment and bitterness. Holding on to resentment towards yourself only prolongs your suffering and inhibits your ability to move forward. How often do we hold on to things, especially if something bad has happened to us, and we keep repeating the story? Oh, woe is me. And it's just like, it's a huge problem and stuff like that. Some people, it's like when you're around some people, they continually talk about the same thing over and over again. It's almost like when you have like a tape recorder uh, machine. I know that's dating me here, but when we used to have tape recorders, it's like you would play it and then you would stop and rewind it. It was almost like the same thing happening over and over. It's like the same tape playing over and over. So if you're that type of person that has a tendency to do that, I invite you to sit with that and just say, why is that so? What, I noticed that this happens and I keep beating the dead horse. Maybe it's time to pull it back and gain the wisdom from that particular event and put it to rest and move forward. Let go of any bitterness or self-condemnation that is weighing you down. And I'm wondering too, for some people, if they have weight issues or health issues, how this interferes and contributes energetically to their health and well-being. I will be willing to put money on it that it probably is matrixed in there somehow, that it's contributing. So something to consider. This doesn't mean forgetting what happened or minimizing its significance, but rather choosing to release the grip it has on your present and your future. Forgiveness is a conscious decision to free yourself from the burden of past mistakes. And the fifth one is empower yourself to make amends. So I think many of us say things in the heat of the moment and then we backpedal and live to regret it later. It's about taking proactive steps to make amends for any harm you may have caused, both to yourself or others. It's about self-nurturing, about giving yourself the love and appreciation that you would give to a stranger sometimes. It's about giving yourself grace. This could involve, I can't even talk. This could also involve apologizing to those you've hurt, repairing damaged relationships, or engaging in acts of kindness and restitution. By taking responsibility for your actions and actively seeking to rectify them, you claim your agency and empower yourself to create positive change in your life. And that's so very true. So just remember, we talked about 5 different steps. Embrace your emotions, reflect and evolve, practice self-compassion, release resentment and bitterness, and empower yourself to make amends. And, by embracing your emotions, reflecting and evolving and practicing self-compassion and releasing resentment and empowering yourself to make amends, you can journey forward towards self-forgiveness and cultivate greater peace and acceptance within yourself. So you've been listening to the Dr. Dolores Show, and we've been talking about self-forgiveness, embrace, evolve, and empower on Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we're going to talk about more about self-forgiveness and how does one really forgive. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody, and welcome from beautiful Sedona, Arizona, in the United States. And I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show on Inspired Choices Network. And our episode today has been about self-forgiveness, embrace, evolve, and empower. And, in our first segment, I talked a little bit about a personal experience I had just very recently being here on my trip to Sedona with my lovely sister. And the growth that came out of that for me personally was about releasing something that had been part of who I've been probably for the last 63 years. Yes, I am that old. Anyway, and then, our last segment, we talked about some things that we could do to get into self-forgiveness, things that we could do to empower, embrace, and to release resentment and to make amends. And, we're going to talk a little deeper into, sometimes I think for people, they have a difficult time they just don't know how to forgive themselves. And so I wanted to address that and talk in a little more depth about that because for some people that it's such an overwhelming thing. It's like the elephant in the room for them, and they're like so overwhelmed they just don't know where to start or how to start. I always say this: if there's an elephant, some people say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You take it baby steps, small obtainable steps that are going to lead you to being able to embrace the bigger picture. Okay. That's how it's not about starting with the bigger picture. It's like, let's start really small and, have a little bit of structure to assist you to begin with. And then you could kind of go on your own little journey and path with that. But first of all, acknowledge and accept responsibility. I think that's one of the cornerstones that is so important. It's taking ownership of your actions and choices that have led you to the feelings of guilt or remorse. And, let's face it, we all have had those feelings, and they're probably not the most pleasant feelings to have, but they're the ones that kind of get you right in the gut, and you're like, oh, yeah, that didn't feel really good, did it? That's a hint there. Or you're feeling guilty. I mean, I know I was raised in the Catholic faith and I'm a recovering Catholic now, but a lot of our religions are laden with guilt and shame and, humiliation and stuff. And why was that? It's just like I always question that. It's just like, is it because we aren't worthy, or they're trying to control us, or whatever that is? It's something to look at, because life shouldn't have to be filled with guilt and shame and all those other things. um, Avoid making excuses or blaming others. This is about you stepping into your power and taking ownership of your participation with it. Nobody ever does anything to you. You do it to yourself. Let me repeat that to you again. Nobody does anything to you. You do it to yourself, because that's a choice. That is a reaction that you have. So recognize that while you may not be proud of what you've done, you have the power to take responsibility and make it right or make amends. Okay? We're all human here. We're all learning how to be a human being. Remember, we're working on our dissertation to get our PhD in becoming human. It's a big deal. This is where you're going to be growing and allowing your soul to develop and grow at a deeper and more profound level by having these experiences. Okay? Understand the context. What we mean by that is reflect on the circumstances that led to your actions. Okay, sometimes we get to an action, and there might have been a buildup of one thing after another, and then finally you just can't even take it. You just react and just explode. That's something to look at. That's one way to handle it. May not be the best. If something's starting to happen and get, a little irritated and stuff, by ignoring it or pretending that it's not there, it doesn't mean it goes away. It gets bigger by what I just shared. Consider the factors that may have influenced your behavior: stress, fear, or past experiences, or maybe even fear of confrontation of saying something. Understand the context that you have. Understanding the context can help you gain insight into your actions and develop empathy for yourself. Okay, so you're unwinding how you react to things and maybe how you could handle it differently. It's not about the other person. The other person was the trigger that allowed you to go into this sequela. And so that other person pretty much gave you a gift. So now you could move forward, and if you choose to, explore why you responded in the way you did, so you could get the gold nuggets that are there for you. Feel and process your emotions. Allow yourself to feel the emotions that arise, whether it's guilt, shame, anger, or sadness. So, what I find sometimes when I work with people, they'll start feeling something, and all of a sudden they pop into their head and try to analyze it and stuff like that. It's not about analyzing it, it's about staying in your body and just feeling what it is. When we pop out of the feeling into our head and try to fix it, we distract ourselves from feeling. Let me repeat that. When you are feeling something and then you pop into your head, it's almost like you have disconnected yourself from being physically present in your body, and you are distracting yourself from being in the moment. So please, please, please give yourself the gift of being with your emotions and just explain, experience them fully and without judging or criticizing yourself. And if you feel like you're doing that, or if you're ashamed or whatever, feel all of that as well, because that's all part of the gift. It's all connected in ways you have no idea. Avoid suppressing or denying these feelings, as they are a natural part of the healing process. If you need to journal, go get a piece of paper and just write, or talk to a trusted friend, or even a therapist or a coach like myself. I'm really good at that stuff as well, holding the space and allowing you to be with whatever you're experiencing. You can help where we can help you process your emotions and in a healing way. Like we said before, it's about practicing self-compassion. Treat yourself with kindness, understanding, and empathy. And for some people, that's a tough one. Baby steps. Remember, baby steps. Recognize that everyone makes mistakes and that you are worthy of forgiveness. You are. You're worthy of everything that you desire and more, just like anyone else is. Okay? We forget that sometimes. Continue to practice positive self-talk and do self-care activities. If it's singing to your heart to go outside and just be in nature, just do that. If you want to play video games or do coloring or something, do that. Do something creative where you're going to kind of tap into your higher self, your inner wisdom, and allow it to speak through what the medium of what you're doing. Make amends, as we shared before. That's important. Make amends to yourself. Forgive yourself, and, maybe make a vow to yourself that you're going to be kinder to yourself and allow yourself some slack. That's a huge gift to give to yourself. The gift of being imperfect, because there's no such word. We talked about that in an earlier episode of the Dr. Dolores Show. So look at that about being perfect. Release blame and guilt. Release self-blame and guilt. Choose to forgive yourself and let go of self-blame and guilt. Holding on to negative emotions only perpetuates your suffering and inhibits your ability to move forward. It's like you get stuck, and it's just like, repeating over and over and over. And remember this too, as energetic beings, whenever you focus your attention on, we create more and more of that. So if we're going to be focusing on blaming ourselves and feeling guilty, what do you think we're going to keep creating or attracting in our life? More of the same thing. So this is where it's really important to pivot and change that. So you could focus on one thing that you're appreciative of, maybe one thing that you can forgive yourself of, so you could free yourself from the burden of the past. And just focus on self-improvement. Self-improvement doesn't have to be difficult. Remember, baby steps. Instead of dwelling on past mistakes, focus on the present moment. Remember, that's all that matters now, is the present moment. What you focus on in this moment creates the next moment. So focus on something positive, such as setting really delicious goals for yourself or wonderful things that you want to create for yourselves. It's a time to dream and dream big without feeling the guilt, shame, or whatever. Just dream the impossible dream and just know that you deserve that. So forgiving oneself is a gradual and ongoing process that requires practice, patience, self-reflection, and self-compassion. Please be gentle with yourself as you navigate your journey, and remember that healing takes time. Yes, healing can happen instantaneously, but it's a process as well. And know that as life goes on, you might have the same thing come up. I call it theme and variations of a core issue, where you have gained wisdom of having that particular situation, but you're getting another tangent of it. It's like you're up higher on the spiral of that core issue, where you're learning another way to look at it, or another way to experience it, another way to heal it. It's really a beautiful thing. It's not like a one and done. It's a process sometimes. And just know that, oh, I feel like I dealt with this before. Well, you have. You're just dealing with it from a different perspective. So no beating self up. Allow yourself the grace to look at that and be curious like a little child. It's like, isn't that interesting? And show me what I need to learn from this. And those are the magic words that will allow you to move forward with a lot more ease and grace. So you've been listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we've been talking about self-forgiveness, embrace, evolve, and empower. And when we come back, we'll talk some more. See you after the break.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. And yes, Sarah, the show is going by really fast. It's because we're in the flow. We're in the flow of talking about self-forgiveness, embrace, evolve, and empower. And it's been a very interesting episode because early on I shared a little personal story being in Sedona, Arizona. As you could tell, I'm not in my home office. And we've been talking about the importance of giving ourselves the gift of grace and taking baby steps to move through some of the things that are probably near and dear to our hearts that we've had a challenge maybe of forgiving ourselves for, or maybe we weren't even aware, because sometimes things are happening on an unconscious level that our unconsciousness is kind of creating things for us to happen in situations. Remember, there's no mistakes. There's only growth opportunities. And so, let's just talk about 3 things to remember to embrace, evolve, and empower oneself for self-forgiveness. Embrace your humanity. Recognize that making mistakes and experiencing setbacks are natural aspects of the human experience. We are learning to be a human being. We didn't come with a roadmap, how-to manual. I always used to joke about this. It's like, where's my manual? It's like, why can't I just, work on this and figure it out? We are gaining the wisdom by having our experience as being a human being here on Earth. We're gaining tons of information and wisdom that's going to carry on not only through the rest of our lives in this lifetime, but it's going to add to our soul's enrichment, the bigger aspects of who we are. Embrace your imperfections with compassion and understanding, knowing that nobody is perfect. And guess what? We aren't either. Accepting your humanity allows you to approach self-forgiveness with kindness rather than harsh self-judgment. Evolve through self-reflection. Use moments of adversity, or what we label as failure, as opportunities for growth and learning. Everything is a growth opportunity if you look at it from that perspective. The good things that we experience, the not so good things we label as bad, whatever that is, there are opportunities for growth and gaining wisdom and insight and clarity too. Reflect on the circumstances surrounding the mistake or transgression, as well as the emotions and motivations that contributed to it. Seek understanding, insight into yourself, your values, and your behavior. By evolving through self-reflection, you can gain wisdom, resilience that will guide you on your journey towards self-forgiveness. It's really a lot simpler than we think it is, or what we've been led to believe. Empower yourself with forgiveness and self-forgiveness. Recognize that forgiveness is a choice and an act of self-empowerment. Just feel that for a minute. Self-forgiveness is a choice and an act of self-empowerment. It's not about condoning or excusing the behavior that we've done, but rather freeing yourself from the burden of resentment, guilt, self-blame, and even shame. Empower yourself by acknowledging your capacity to forgive and release negative emotions. By choosing forgiveness, you reclaim your power, pave the way for healing, growth, and inner peace. And you know what? We could all use some inner peace these days because it is crazy out there. And, when we're able to come back to ourselves, because it all starts with self first, this is where we have the capability to really step into our power, especially as we are moving more and more into ascension and allowing ourselves to make things different, not only for ourselves, but as we change ourselves and work on our self-forgiveness, it ripples out into collective consciousness. So we contribute in ways unseen that affects everybody. So, if this is something that aligns with you and you want to reach out to me, I invite you to just drop me a line at Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. And also, if you are the type of person that finds it hard to be grounded in your body, I invite you to go to my website, drdoloresfazzino.com, and get your free guided meditation that'll allow you to be in the present moment right here, right now. Now, next week, we're going to talk about aligned manifestation. And people are like, what the heck is that? Oftentimes we try to manifest in our lives and it's really a challenge and we can't understand why things are not occurring as quickly as we think they should. This is a show for you. So let's talk about this. How often do we become discouraged, particularly when we desire something so badly to manifest and it hasn't yet? In this thought-provoking episode on the Dr. Dolores Show, we delve deep into the powerful intersection of alignment, manifestation, and integrity, exploring how these concepts intertwine to shape our reality and our creations. Join us as we navigate the transformative journey of creating from a place of love rather than fear and avoidance. Through candid discussions, insightful anecdotes, we unravel the secrets of aligning our intentions with our truest selves, manifesting our deepest desires with integrity, and cultivating a life rooted in love and authenticity. So, aligned manifestation, it's like when all the holes in the Swiss cheese line up. It's like a bullet point that allows things to happen, more quickly, clearly, and magically. So thanks so much for listening today. Look forward to having you on the show next week. And once again, you're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, energy whisperer, and you're on the Inspired Choices Network. And just a reminder that be kind to yourself. Talk nicely to yourself, and that you are worth it. So be well, be safe, and see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. Dr. Dolores returns Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, remember to be kind to yourself and create your best life. You are worth it.